Illawarra Hawks, Aussie Boomers, back from Tokyo in quarantine in Darwin. Gorge, congratulations. Well done. Welcome back.
No, it's really an emotional time, and everybody ask me how you feeling and everything, and I can't explain it, but the euphoria grows every day. We're in Darwin, next to, I got staff members, Maddie and David Hillard, and then I've got Reith Duop, down, and we're in bungalows right next to each other. And every morning we get up and have a cup of coffee. That's the big positive about being in Darwin, and that we can go outside and be on the porch. And you turn and look to your left, and it's kind of a click of the coffee still, yes, it's not one that you're going to let fade. It's in there, and it gets better every day is what I'm saying. Really, really happy for everybody.
I could imagine with all this kind of thinking time you've got right now, maybe the enormity of what you and that staff you're talking about and your players have achieved over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I heard you talking about Lindsay Gaze and all the past legends of the sport, the present, the motivation and inspiration you guys have provided for the young people and the future of the game. I mean, is all of that starting to set in and make sense to you right now?
The hardest thing about this job was taking it. And all the things that you said there are the flip side when you're a coach of what is this experience like with these guys that you have a great rapport with, Patty and Joe, Beijing, wiped that clean in a real nice place, winning a championship with the Dragons, with Joe, having a great relationship with Patty. We experienced each other in China. The Beijing thing ended. It was the first part of this climb, and it ended in a positive. We beat Russia. We beat Lithuania in the last game of that. We beat Russia. Iran 3 games in a row to get into the quarters and crossed over to a strong USA team. But you could see the thing was on the way up, and it's kind of like you put it in a bow, and it was in a good place, and I felt comfortable in my role in it, handing it to the next person. And then 12 years later, to be tapped on the shoulder and coming back into it with all the things that you're saying there, I was completely aware of all the expectations, not only from that leadership group. This is it. This is our time. This is our moment. But and I think those guys, that leadership team, that did it really well from the moment you walked into Irvine, the understanding of the past. A much better job than when I first walked into Athens, and all the players in Sydney, a lot of them played in extra Olympics to play in Sydney, and they retired at the same time. So I didn't walk into this. It was something that was Patty, Joe, Deli, Aaron were very aware of the 1964 team, the history of the Boomers. And you have a bunch of guys coming in that are very important to the team that have never touched it. And they made the past. And, Lindsay Gaze, Andrew Bogut, Basketball Australia, the development, the NBL with Jock and Chris, there was a drive there. And then also the present that, we're here, gold vibes only. It's time. It's right now. And then the future with the names that I've said. You look at Josh Giddey being touched by it. You look at Josh Green, Jock Landell, Dante. I know, but those guys haven't really been tight in the thing like it is now. So I was very aware of all of that, which led to the word for me. Now you're in the coaching. What's the flip side of this? And the pressure. And I felt all of that every single day. Every day I went on the court, the enormity of performance, and there's no I thought a great piece to it, and I'll finish up here with this part, is they made such an awareness of the kangaroo and what a boomer is, and that there's no, you start thinking about, Patty did such a great job on Culture Night of what a kangaroo is, and it's a unique animal to Australia, and it never takes a step backwards. And every one of the players adopted a kangaroo, and Patty had all that organized, and the effect, I know it sounds normal to the average listener, but to a guy like Josh Green, to a guy like, I was sitting in the back just watching the enormity of this and how it was touching everybody. So again, all the way through, my emotions were delivering.
Managing those emotions, I would imagine, would have been such a challenge for you, but for all the players as well. And you talk about how you get nervous. You get nervous before games, in the lead up and the like. Apart from the nerves and the emotions of taking on the job and thinking about everything that was going to involve, over the course of the campaign, when was the point that you felt the most nervous?
After the Team USA game. And it's an interesting decision I made. There was a lot, Liam, that as now we're talking, and I haven't been asked these questions too much, the actual coaching side of this. And, Aaron, Deli, Dante have not played all year. So I came into that thing in Irvine, and I've talked about all this emotion and the culture and everything, but you're also looking at performance and go, these guys have come in. I mean, they have to be underdone. They're professionals, and they've done everything they possibly can to be ready for this, but they haven't played. And, you look at the big four that I talked to, leading into this. Deli, it was a big climb for him. No Bogut. And, the pressure, I keep going back to it. It's something I'm aware of the whole way through. But the moment we got into the first 2 days in Irvine, I just shut my mouth. It was a drop-in center and run by the players. And we got John Reilly, Brad Davidson, Anthony Susangero brought in as like kind of skill guys. And there was an enormity in that too. Past boomers, Aussies, Patty tapped me and goes, good move. And really, it wasn't my move. That was driven by Matt Nielsen and Cape Horn. I said, you guys, I was involved in the Wollongong Illawarra deal. They were kind of free. I said, this drop-in center, you run it. Can we bring these guys in? Yes. And then the enormity of that, again, all of this stuff, it's just building. So I ran it like a professional. I think of it like a European soccer, what you see in now Australian rules team. You got a special teams guy. You got a guy in charge of the offense. You got, I had a lot to say and push the defensive aspect, because in that 9-day window, I watched a lot of the Boomers stuff. I had a beam on that, you can get a lot done on the defensive end in 9 days. On the offensive end, they've run flow, they've run system. I've got 7 new players. Can't do it. Can't do it. We've got to go more NBA, more on ball, more quick, rotate on defense. So all of that was put on guys, and I oversaw it and have my voice in and out. So it leads to the question that you asked. The strongest my voice was after that USA game. We lost the game. There was a definite, not a billing of, we want gold. Patty, Joe, that group expected gold and were dropped to the knees with the loss. And I walked in the locker room, there was tears. It was like, this is done. We're done. Dream. And, I came in strong and, hey, 0-11 at this point.
Hmm.
0-11. This culture's been strong. You've been great. You've performed outside the boundaries. You've been a bust here. No, we ain't got nothing done. We set the table to do something that's never been done. But so I went down that path real hard. Head up, back straight, be proud. Boxing kangaroo. We don't take a step backwards. Now we're going to showcase, and the whole nation, the world is going to be watching this game. And it's no good if the culture's just in this room with 15 guys. We're going to showcase this. And then I got back to the room, and there was a message sent loud and clear, and we had a meeting. I sat with Joe and Patty, Maddie, and it was brought back of a direction of, how we're going to play. They were on board is all, and we did make some changes leading into that game. The matchup with Delhi on Luka was not he was instrumental in turning the ball in the backcourt and a point of pickup. Now, this is a different beast with Luka. How are we going to play him? What's the pickup point? We need length. We need to double him on the on balls. And now in turn, that means Delhi comes off the bench and we're putting the ball in Patty's hands. And, that was a discussion point. And it's amazing that you talk about, he motivated me on, look at how this guy's handling the pressure. Everything, Patty carries an extreme, Joe, but Patty's not. I thought it was a huge thing naming him captain, first Aboriginal captain of the Boomers. This is a big deal. No, he's the captain of the Australian Olympic team. And the weight he carried, and he comes out gold vibes only. And he's the one with the ball in his hand. And now you're at this point, and all the things that have been said, the ball's in his hands. And everybody was involved in this. It was a team deal. I know he had the foot, but that was what was so great about the accomplishment, that it involved everybody and everybody had a role to play. But the responsibility that Patty carried was second to none in that particular game, especially. And it gave me motivation. But the pressure, I've played in finals and been disappointed many times. I've won finals. I know what I'm like on game day. I get up, wash my face, and let's go. There's nerves through you. I was in a knot. I got in bed. I didn't, my stomach was tight. I didn't want to go to shoot around. I just put the ball up. I got nothing more to say, nothing more to do. Let's play. And I had to wait till 8:00 at night. And so never felt like it before it. But again, on the flip side, never, with 1 minute to go and you've got the game won, never felt anything like it. And I've been involved in sport a long time, and there's virtually no one in the stadium, but never felt anything like it.
What can you say about what Paddy did in that bronze medal game?
The team, the performance was beyond my expectation. And, the thing was simplistic, which was good. Obviously they had a situation, they were switching, and they had a situation with Luka and Patty. We set that double drag pick and that second pick, and we spread the court and let him go. And then as he got fatigued and they started targeting him, the way he got everybody else involved was something, that was mentioned. The difference between him playing in the NBA and him playing with our national team is they don't see him with an ability to run the team like that and be a distributor and a facilitator. He's just primarily a guy that catches and shoots and puts pressure on the ball. So that role, I haven't seen to that level before. And I used the word, and it was right through the group led by him, midway through the third, the will. They're making a run. Luka, the danger of him, he hits those 2 threes. They hit the 4-point play in the corner, but there was no look of nerves or, we've been here before. We're here to get this done. And the ball's in his hand, and you could just see it. You could feel it. They're not going to let this thing go. And his performance, one for the ages, and statistically, something that's never been done. Think about that in Olympic history. No one has scored like he scored in a game of significance for a medal with what he did. And he's the captain of the whole program, the whole national Australian Olympic team, captain of the Boomers, in a situation that he was in of never medaling before. Epic.
Where does this achievement and experience rank for you in amongst, at this point, in a lifetime of basketball?
Honestly, and it's nothing close. And I mean, I've been asked this question before, and I'm trying to describe, I never felt like it on the day. I never felt what I felt leading into it. Because it involves so many people. It involved, I mean, people you care about. I came to Australia and I played with Andrew. I started with Andrew Bogut. His first practice in a professional environment was with me together, at Tulip Street, with that. And all those thoughts were going through, Adrian Hurley, Barry Barnes, Brett Brown, all of that. So, the enormity of it and the amount of people that were affected by it and the joy, I could really see Lindsay, like thoughts of him. When I first came to Albert Park and I'm playing for the national coach as a young man, 23 years old, I walk through the door. Who is this guy? He's mopping the floor after he's coached, the under 20s. And then I totally didn't get it.
He's the
Olympic his wife's running the canteen, his son's in the junior program. So, I mean, and he was the national coach at that time. So the feeling that you had of those people being rewarded. And as Andrew and Bogut said, I just thought Patty, Joe, our leadership team did a great emphasis of making sure along this journey that those people understood that we understood, and it was an emphasis to the guys that had no history with this, the importance of the history, the importance of Lindsay. It was discussed, the importance of the 64 team, the importance of Andrew Gaze, the importance of Bogut. And again, the big aspect of this, a huge aspect of this was the music. And I mean, it's a box wherever we went that was carried, and it played nothing but, when you walked into Irvine, the flags, Tory Island, straight, the Aboriginal flag, the Australian flag, Aussie pies, pasties, and the box in the middle of the floor is everybody shooting. And Matisse says, what is it? It's Jimmy Barnes, it's Kylie Minogue, it's Cole Chisel, it's all of that. And in the bus, after the thing's over, you're coming back, and that thing would be blaring in the back. And I'm sitting in the front, and mission accomplished, and I'm emotional, really emotional. It's been 2 hours in the locker room. Patty, you ready to go? Are we getting in the bus? No, I'm not. Everyone was just sitting in there, sharing, having a beer, talking about, with their medals. Look at this, they didn't think, the banter was incredible. And I'm sitting in the front, and songs are played, and there's this one, We Are Australian. And, and I'm sitting in the front, and that thing comes on, and it starts blaring, and I start that quiver, and you get the little snot on the end of your nose, and your eyes start watering, and the hair on your arms come up. And I go, man, this is the emotion of it. And then after that, Rose Tattoo, we can't be beaten, and everybody's it just had, and I'm sure you can sense from my voice and how I am, just that. And I'm at an age where, they ask you, if you had the 92 championship again, or if you, this opportunity, if it occurred again, what would you do? And I always say to myself, I would have another beer. I would party a day longer. I would, I do not want to let this go. It's not, when I talk to my wife and my daughter and my, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Can't wait to get back. This isn't going anywhere. And so a lot of emotion there.
Because there's all those names that you've talked about there, but there's so many. I mean, really, there's millions more. I mean, there's all the past boom. I spoke to Luke Longley straight after that game, and he was really emotional and really proud and happy. And to read about Danny Morsu saying that he had tears in his eyes, and Larry Sangster, and it goes, somewhere Ken Watson is smiling down on this situation, and Bob Staunton and Al Ramsey and all the boomers that have come through. But then this is a country right now where millions of people are in lockdown, and they watch the Olympics in a really difficult time. And the joy that you guys brought, and we won 17 gold medals at the Olympics, but the joy that bronze brought, with all the history and with the fact that this is a truly global sport, every country in the world, and you guys bring home the bronze, you've just brought a lot of joy and pride to so many people.
And this isn't an arrogance, honestly, but that's the enormity of it. And what I'm trying to express, it's not, surprise, surprise. I felt it. I felt it, and I knew it. And even to me, even so many other things. The Patty Mills story and the lives that he touches by who he is. Need not say more, and how he did that with a lot going on right now in Australia on that subject matter of racism. In Patty Mills being an Aboriginal and doing all the things that we've talked about is a real powerful piece. And the fight that I don't know what this is. How do I get this? Is this on? You can see this on my screen?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so
the fight.
The fight that we bid in. When I came into Australia in 1977, I'd come in and basketball. What are these other sports? You're in China, and all they know there, they don't know anything about Australian rules. They don't know anything. There's a billion people. They're aware of the NBL. They're aware of basketball. We play against each other. They're aware of the boomers. So the fight that Lindsay, that all those people have been in to get this sport recognized in our country is a first-tier sport. And honestly, that's why I ended up in China for 12 years. Tired of the merges, tired of the club folding, tired of the battles with, the TV, tired with the stadium situation and the lack of support, financially for the teams. That's been a constant battle. And now this, where we're front and center, and the momentum of what Larry Kesselman has done and what the NBLs have done from 12 years ago when I left to coming back. There's a lot of energy and momentum right through COVID. And what's going on in the junior program and the developments. I mean, the time is now, all of these things, and it happened. And like you said, it touches more lives than you can even, because of the situation. And it also, the game of basketball, which we all love, and pulls all this together. It is huge for it right at this particular moment.
You're talking before about, talking about the coaching element of it. You guys went over the course of the campaign, including the warm-up games, you went 8-1. you go back to that USA game. I talked to Andrew Gaze after that game and about what were his emotions when you guys were 15 up midway through the second quarter on the US in the semifinal of an Olympic game. Incredible moment for basketball in Australia. They call it, Pop calls a timeout. They come out in the triangle and 2. Before you know it, at halftime, that leads down to 3. A few minutes into the third quarter, it's a 9-point deficit all of a sudden. What did you see during that period of time of the only game that got away?
You always look at yourself, and there was some mistakes on it made by me during that game. And I learned some things during that game. And you're always evolving as an international coach. And one, quicker timeout. They're so dangerous, and you've got to stop the momentum. And the end of the second quarter, there needed to be, I had one in my pocket, and there needed to be another timeout during that shift. And then the start of the third quarter, I've got 3. I'm aware of hanging in there, and I thought, I didn't think so much about momentum and about what they were doing. We had an over-the-top dunk. We missed it. We missed 2 free throws. We had good shots. It's just, but when you go, put guys to the scorer's bench, sub, so it stops the game. It stops the momentum. And then the other aspect of it, you always feared with, they're sleeping some stuff out of your control. You're always looking at that and saying, man, if that turns the switch, especially defensively, if that thing, now that it's the same when you were playing with Kobe, Carmelo, that group, you're running screens along the baseline and they switch every pick and they deny and you can't get a catch. What's the next option for that? And you were always in fear. Where they went with us that turned the thing was we couldn't after that initial miss free throws and we couldn't get a shot. And they just cranked up the defense. And the Holiday situation on the ball and on Patty was a different beast than Damian Lillard. Who's a great player, but defensively they could go somewhere that that just put the brakes on the thing. And honestly, you look as a coach, you look at personnel, and is there a guy in our group that would make their team? I mean, you're looking at us. I mean, they're just they're all NBA stars, and you look at it's a really, really, difficult scenario. But what pops that people ask me, what conversation took place between you and Pop after the game was over, and it was meaningful. There was a respect, obviously, from us to Team USA, and this I knew during they're going to win the gold medal. They're just for whatever amount of time, and so much respect for him and what he's done at San Antonio and them. Now it's over, so you want to shake his hand and congratulate and wish him. And before I could get a word out, you've got the best team. Love your team, and I think that's an aspect that also Australia, we played as a team, offensively and defensively. Mistakes made in that game, but really, I walked away from it saying, not horrible, not, let's move on from this. Mm-hmm. It's a stepping stone, and maybe you think, Liam, the play on that one, and then you go into the Slovenia game, and midway through the third quarter, you look and go, they've never experienced this before. Luke Docic's we're wearing them. We've been here. And when I talk about the will and no turning, when they cut it to 3, I didn't feel tension or nerves there. They get the foul and the guy pushes Patty, and they did some things that they've never been here before.
Mm.
And, when you climb that mountain, there's certain rocks you got to step over, certain challenges you got to get through. And this one was the first step. And, you get asked on this, where to, what is this thing? And I do think, what Patty and that there's, with all the things that we've discussed, it's not just, this was our moment. This was it. I think there's a lot more, and we're going to be a Spain. We're going to be a Lithuania. We're going to be one of those teams knocking on the door for a long period of time, with what's set in place with the NBL, Basketball Australia, Center of Excellence, the top Australian athletes going into basketball, as opposed to in the 70s, a lot of times the second and third athlete that can't make footy, can't make cricket. Oh, we'll have a look at basketball. We're getting the best of the best, and they're getting coached.
I heard Steve Smith from ESPN the other day described it as, this feels like the end of the beginning. And it's been, it's been over 100 years since the game came to Australia. The Opals, of course, have set the standard for so long. And now I feel like this is just a huge monkey off the back of the Boomers program, and just the sky is absolutely the limit. And Patty's talked about it, of course, as well, as being, this is the standard now. This is the bar. And we achieve that or more moving forward. And you talking about moving forward, and you talk about learning as a coach, quick turnaround. NBL 22 is right around the corner. You're going to come out of quarantine. You're going to say hello to the family. And then I imagine you're going to be back in getting the Hawks together. The Harvey's back. You got DeWop coming in. You got Travis Trice, Antonius Cleveland coming into the group, looking to take another step forward, make a grand final, continue to build with that program. How are you feeling about that group and the upcoming season?
Didn't know, when I come back from China and all the circumstances have explained how I ended up at Illawarra and getting back in the NBL. And all I can say is, through COVID and being, again, like the Boomers, being away for 12 years and walking into it, and being my age, you got to have, if you're not passionate, if you don't want to learn, if you don't have the energy, it's not fair to the league. It's not fair to the team. It's not. And I knew I had that passion going in. And everyone says now, are you tired? Are you worn? Do you have it for? And I can't tell you how this is pumped me up. I'm so excited to get back. This was a great experience, but my livelihood, my job, is to be part of the process of, and that's the tip. But the process and being involved in the NBL is something that I'm really excited about. I cherish. And then, as you said, our current in the situation here, when the season finished, my message to the club was, Wollongong has had better seasons. They've had good seasons, but their personnel. Oh, I like him. Now they were good. I'll take him. Nick Kay, they played at Wollongong. MVP
Yes.
league. He goes to Melbourne. He goes, So a key for us, as you said, let's get Tyler Harvey back. First team all league. Let's get him back. Let's make sure Frawling's there. And now the fact, you look at this team and there's an NBL aspect to it, but three, now Jock's gone and Duop's one of them. And we've got a national player that is coming to our program. So it's not only, we want to win a championship, but it's like the Boomers, gold vibes only. It's setting a standard that, and the management keeps talking about it. Well, we're not here for the make up the numbers. Well, the winning's in the picking. And now I think we've said to the league, we're gonna keep our guys. We're gonna be a consistent program, and the goal is to be like a Perth, like a Melbourne, like a that's constantly in the battle. And you, as a and a guy with a basketball pedigree, and look at it and say, man, they're competitive again. They're coming back. And I feel that, and I'm really excited about one, getting back and seeing the family and having a few reds over this, and some hugs and some, some laughs and some fun, and then, getting right back into the NBL. It's a really exciting time.
Awesome, man. Well, can't wait for it to tip off, but don't move your head there quite yet. You got to keep going out to the balcony, keep cheersing the fellas, because what you guys have done is absolutely extraordinary. And I'm sure the viewers and listeners have appreciated getting your insights and picking your brain on the entire experience.
No, I appreciate it. And I guess, the closing thing to all this, like you said, when we talk about the future, is, I'm just thinking now, the other emotion that goes through me all the time is the fact that all those young guys have been touched by that leadership group. So, as we get off this, and where's the Boomer program at? I learned after Sydney and taking it over, you can't if Josh and all those people, the names that I said, if they're not touched by Patty, Joe, Aaron, and Deli, and that, that group, then you're starting from zero. But the fact those guys have all been touched, and we've discussed how special that group is, and the culture of that it makes me really happy as we hang up, that the thing's in good hands for the future.
You're a legend, mate. Thanks heaps for the chat.
Okay, man. Take care, Liam.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you in Melbourne, man.
All right,
NBL.
man.
NBL.